Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there, you gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is Manifestations 2020.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yo. Welcome to Manifestations 2020. It's your boy Major Gage in the building. Yo. Shout out Anthony Malcolm. Shout out Bobby Drake. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. And most importantly, before I even get to anything, Shout out to all the amazing fathers out there, as today it is Father's Day. We have so many Black fathers out there making a difference in their children's lives and in the lives of other children. Some are fathers to the community, literally, you understand? And these brothers out here doing the work. And I think it's very important that we acknowledge them first and foremost before anything, because at the end of the day, right now, we're at crisis levels when we start talking about, you know, some of the things that are plaguing the community that are due to a lack of a father figure presence. You understand? It doesn't mean that there aren't fathers out there that are doing their business and working, you know, and doing the work, but there are several issues in the community that we are having, because unfortunately, when there's a leadership vacuum and there is no father, which is often the case in a lot of Black households, you know, people will fill that leadership vacuum, and a lot of times it is to the detriment of Black society. So shout out to those fathers that are out there doing the work. We need you. We love you. Respect and honor. Listen, man, I'm full today. I'm full, bro, because we're doing our show on men's mental health in the midst of Men's Mental Health Month, which is June. So I'm real excited about the show today. Any news y'all want to share? Talk to me. What's up?
Yeah, Bobby, make sure the people know exactly what's on your shirt, because it might say head off the top. You know, just making sure. Oh, head of the table. Okay, got you. Didn't want people to think it was something else. Turn this into men's mental moments.
You're a wild boy, man. You a wild boy.
You wild, bro. You wild.
Yeah, but man, you know, I thought it was pretty dope that you curated this show, Men Mental Health, this month. Is not only this month, but especially on Father's Day. And shout out to Matt Genius. We had him last year on Father's Day, and he gave us his gracious time as a therapist who deals with a lot of men, has done a lot of work with a lot of men, and does retreats. I think he was doing a retreat, mental men's retreat out of the country. He talked about doing that last time he was here. So shout out to him. Great father, great husband, great leader, great community activist, and also a great person to lean on as a professional person in that mental health space. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Shout out to my father, my heavenly father. It's been about 5 years since he transitioned. But I love the fact that he left behind his legacy, which was his thought process, everything that he could instill in me to make me who I am today, and who a lot of people appreciate being around them. So, you know, transitioning that legacy into me, I can transition it into others before I transition off of this earth as well. And there's so much people out there that's doing a great job. You know, one day we do want to hopefully get to a place where we can have a Manversations get back gratification to the men. You know, I appreciate all the men out there. Have an event for all the fathers and men doing great work in the community. Also handing out Manversations awards. That's going to be something that we're looking into the future as well. We do want to highlight a lot of men. I was just talking to a young lady the other day, and I was telling her, you know, men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide. So there's a lot of stress on their head. And she was like, you really think that? And I said, let me tell you something. And this is what people fail to realize. The men, they are the primary structure of everybody's happiness. I talked about that plenty of times. They support the happiness of their parents. They have to provide that. They have to provide the happiness of their children, and they have to provide the happiness of their girlfriend or wives. Who provides the happiness for them? You know, it's like, well, you know, a woman can help. Yeah, but she can assist with alleviating some of his troubles, pain, everything like that. But he is the main source of everybody's happiness. There's nobody else he can go to but himself. When he's down, he has to figure it out, because everybody that I just listed financially is depending on him. So it is very critical. I understand the hardship of a man, being a man myself and seeing it through other men, what they go through, the silent cries, all of this contributes to part of a man's mental health. So I just want to land my plane on that and just give you guys some real concrete foundation on that part.
Real talk from Anthony Malcolm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bobby Drake, what it do?
Oh, man. Happy Padres Day for all the poppies out there, all the fathers, stepfathers, father figures, and even for the fellas who get called daddy now and again. Happy Father's Day to all y'all individuals, man. It's important. You know, I know you every now and then we'll hear every year people talk about, you know, Father's Day, and people say that it's important, but when you really think about it, there's not many occasions that really and truly honor men as a whole. There are lots of different holidays and occasions where we have where we celebrate women, and not that there's anything wrong with that per se, because there are some situations that have called for that to be a thing.
Sure.
The advent of women getting rights very recently within the last century. It's not even a century old yet. So there's cause to give ladies their due and their just flowers, but there's not too many celebrations or cause to really come together and really uplift and celebrate men.
True.
And that's particularly telling because in these days and times, it's very difficult for people, period. And celebration, although we can't live and dwell in celebration forever, we have work to do. But at the same time, it's important to sit back and celebrate and take it easy now and again, because the reality is rest and relaxation is very much a part of war. You know, the best armies, the best soldiers, the best militaries and mercenaries, it is not possible for them to be nonstop 24/7, 365, always at it, always at it, always at it. We're human beings. We're not machines. We will burn out. We will tire out. And ask any high performer out there, CEOs and anybody in the C-suite roles and positions, entrepreneurs, startups, if you keep on burning the midnight oil nonstop, eventually you're going to start coming up short. You're not going to think clearly. You're not going to be as inspired. You're not going to be as motivated. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to be able to make good decisions. So it's very important that you rest and relax and you celebrate the wins. We don't have as many occasions for men where we're able to do that. So Father's Day is probably the biggest occasion we have of the year to uplift men, fathers in specific, obviously, but men in general, because fatherhood is a role that is exclusive to men. Therefore, it's the one unifier, regardless of your race, creed, nationality, location, age, what have you. You can be a father across all those. It's the biggest tie we have. So it's the biggest group cause we have to celebrate men. And so it's very important that we take fully embrace the opportunity to do that on this day when it arrives. And what you said is so true. There's so much that men carry around on their shoulders that's not even visible. And, you know, we'll see men sometimes, we'll just, you know, man, he's so strong. He went through so much, you know, he deals with so much. We'll give him his props and his flowers for that. But like I'm saying, you need time sometimes to unpack the burdens, man. You know, anyone that's ever done manual labor outside, if you had to carry heavy things, if you've gone hiking, you had a heavy pack on, you know, when you get a chance to put that pack down, it's like, oh my God. Oh, forgot I had shoulders. Jesus Christ. I didn't know I could feel this light before. It's amazing. Just being able to get the weight off for 3 seconds. You're going to have to put it back on. You're not to the destination yet. But that ability to just take it off for a second to kind of gather yourself. And then, okay, breaks over, get back to work. That does so much for us. And there's so many fears. There's so many doubts and questions that we have just as we go through this walk, because there's not that many resources for us. And as a result, we're not trained to seek resources because you don't go looking for what's not there, for what you're not aware of. So therefore, that causes us to internalize the thing you have to do it all on your own. I bumped into this brother at my gym the other day. I switched up my gym location the other day. It's been about maybe several months that I haven't been at my previous location. I pop in every now and then. Yeah. But one of the things I did miss about my gym is that there were a lot of relationships I was able to establish over there. Just not even, in depth, but just casual passing relationships. Because you know how men are. We make friendships in very weird ways. Like we'll just see the same dude 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Then all of a sudden it starts to be like a nod. Yeah. Yeah. And 3, 4 more weeks you bump into them. It's like, hey, what's up? Just casual stuff. But just those surface relationships mean a lot. I've exchanged a lot of words in passing with some of those dudes. We've had some lightweight conversations, talked about some deep things just in the course of just changing our clothes and just packing our bags or unpacking our bags. And there's one brother that I saw, I hadn't seen him in a while. And I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? How's it going? He's like, man, everything's good. I'm like, surprised to see you up here. He's like, yeah, my work schedule switched up, so it's hard for me to get to the other location. So this one's close to work, so I go here now. I'm like, bet. What's good with you, man? And then he mentioned, I'm about to become a father. I'm like, dude, congratulations. Yeah. And he said it, and when he said it, what jumped out at me right away, it didn't really register until later on when I got to think about it, but I actually noticed it in the immediate. And he said it, and he didn't say it in a bad way, but when he said it, you could hear the duty in his voice. You could hear the seriousness in his voice. And that's good, because that to me indicated that he takes the idea of becoming a father serious, and he should. Yeah. Yeah. But man, fatherhood is a joy. It should be. I'm not a father yet, but I've seen that. And when I said that, I made sure I had the biggest grin on my face. Man, congratulations. And when he said it, he had a stoic look on his face. But when he heard me say congratulations and saw the look on my face, boy, that brother cranked up the 1,000-watt smile. Yeah, that's what's up. Cut it off. It's almost like he was looking for permission to enjoy it. That's crazy. And so I asked him, like, man, and I didn't just tell him that. I came over, I clapped him up. He got off the treadmill when he saw me. I clapped him up. I gave him a big, like, congratulations. We had a moment right then, man. Yeah. And I said, so, and I'm like, I had the mission in my face. So, what we have? What's going on? We girl dad, boy dad. It's like, it's gonna be a daughter, man. My first child's gonna be a daughter. I'm like, bro, that's amazing. Wow. Yeah. And I could see him going through the process of really digesting that and really feeling like, it's okay to be this, Yeah, man. And I told him, because I was on the way out, I had to at a dust feed to get to a class at 10 o'clock. It was like 9:10. So I didn't have the time, but I made the time. Yeah. And I told him, hey, man, congratulations, man. I'm thrilled for you. I'm like, bro, you're going to be an amazing father. And I made sure to put that dead in his chest. And I said, hey, man, you know how we are sometimes, man. There's no real guidebook. There's books out there, there's materials, but ultimately, we're all different. Our children are all different. Yeah. But you're going to be good, man. You're not alone, man. The men that you have in your life that you look up to, that you respect, man, make sure you lean on them. Make sure you seek them out. And he's like, man, you're right, 'cause I'm not good with that. I'm like, I know, I'm the same way. But I told him, you're going to be a great father. I let him know that first off, I let him know that congratulations, get excited, feel great about this. I gave him permission to feel good about it. Yeah. Number 2, I affirmed him and let him know, hey, man, whatever doubts and concerns and worries you got on your back, you're going to be a great father. Not a good father, a great father. You got this, man. You are built for the job. Right. And 3rd, I made sure to put in his chest, don't do this by yourself. Right. Yeah. If you don't have that village, establish that village. But the men that you respect, how do I build a village? The men that you respect in your life, the men around you, that maybe a supervisor or coworker at work that you respect, a neighbor, people in your family. There are men in your life that you respect and admire. Some of them have children too. Lean on them. If you have questions, you're not sure. I don't know what to do here. My child's not doing what I need them to do, or I don't have answers for this, or I just feel lost. If you lean on them. Yes, agreed. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go with the group. I agree. And so there's a lot of men that information is pivotal for, who need that kind of advice. And we need to make sure that they have that advice, that we're providing that advice, and make sure we're celebrating all the elements of manhood and masculinity. Fatherhood is a key element of that. Make sure we're celebrating that. This is an honor. It's a privilege. But being a father is going to be some of the most fun you have in your whole lifetime, man. That's what's up. I can't wait. Yeah, man. So I can't wait to every time I see him, I'm definitely gonna touch base with them, and I can't wait to hear the news when the baby's finally here. And I'm looking forward to continuing to pour into him as often as God gives me opportunity. And all the other fathers out there, you might be a first-time father, maybe you just had children and you're not sure what to do. Same rules apply, man. Lean into this experience. Do not cheat yourself.
Yeah.
Embrace, explore. Don't hold anything back. Open yourself to this and make sure you bring good people in there with you so they can be part of your journey.
Well said. All right. Let's get to it. Well said. Well said. Well, I don't have much time, but I did go to my high school reunion yesterday. And that was dope. That was great. That and it kind of dials back to what Bobby was just saying, you know, about touching base with people that you know, that you have good rapport with, people that you admire, you know. And I really got to brush up on some old relationships yesterday and get in touch with some very solid brothers that I know. I'm going to be bringing some of them on the show. Found out one of my guys has a mentorship program going that he's doing. I didn't even know this. So just keep your ears open for that. That's coming. All right. So let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it. As far as mental health is concerned, we just want to go through the defining stage here. Men's mental health is a critical area, often overlooked, with significant implications for individuals and society. Common mental health conditions in men include depression, anxiety, substance use disorders, and PTSD. While many men experience these conditions differently than women, with increased likelihood of aggression, irritability, and risky behavior, they are also less likely to seek help, leading to higher rates of suicide and other negative outcomes. And some of the key aspects of men's mental health of a prevalence, nearly one in 5 men live with a mental condition. People don't realize this. This is serious stuff. Some of the unique challenges that we face unique challenges due to societal expectations and traditional gender roles, leading to reluctance to seek help. Nobody wants to seem weak at the end of the day is what that's telling you. You know, as far as the symptoms, men may express mental health struggles through irritability, anger, substance abuse, risky behaviors, rather than directly acknowledging sadness or depression, and suicide risk. As Anthony pointed out, men are disproportionately affected by suicide, with rates significantly higher than women. And of course, the importance of early intervention. You know, the earlier that you detect that you have some type of mental health disorders, the quicker you can get help for those mental disorders, and the more quickly you can get fixed up. Okay. Just moving on a little more into that. Black men specifically, that's what this show is about. This is who we really talk to. We experience a disproportionate high risk of mental health challenges, including depression, anxiety, and suicide. And while depression and anxiety are common, Black men are more likely to experience suicide than Black women, and their suicide rates are lower than those of Hispanic and white populations. Additionally, we're less likely to seek mental health, as I said before. Suicide, big one. That's the big one, you know, because, and I feel like it's probably the one that, you know, I tend to talk about the most when I talk about mental disorders, because suicide is so final. You know, anything else you can kind of come back from, you know, but I always push against, you know, when people are having suicidal thoughts that I know and love, I really, really, you know, get to those brothers and tell them, hey, man, go get some help. Do it now. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the big one. You know, it speaks more about, you know, how in the age range of 15 to 21, Black male suicide rates are 4 times higher than those of Black women, which is outrageous. It's outrageous for anybody, but that's a crazy number. Mental health services, it goes to tell us that only a small percentage of Black and Hispanic men, I don't know why it has Hispanic men in there, who experience mental health challenges seek professional help. Okay. Research suggests that Black men may be likely to seek care, less likely to seek care, potentially due to stigma and mistrust of the healthcare system or lack of culturally competent services. That's a big one. Depression is is a big one that people don't talk about because that's what usually will lead to suicides. Depression, people tend to take depression as a joke, and we'll talk about that a little later, but that's something that we definitely have to identify and act on. And of course, trauma. Black men may be more likely to experience trauma, such as racial trauma, which can impact their mental health. Also, they don't say it on here, but there's also sexual trauma. That's another big one. All types of traumas, family trauma, and just things that we never heal from, and co-occurring disorders, meaning that Black folks are more likely to have more than one of these things impact us simultaneously. And lastly, we're just going to go to the factors and just kind of double down on this. The stigma. The number one reason that people don't seek help is because of the stigma. People, they think that you're a weirdo. They think that you're crazy. They think that you're less of a person, that you're weak if you seek mental health. The social stigma reeks to high hell in Black society. Let's just keep it a buck. Racial trauma, like we mentioned before. Socioeconomic factors is a big one a lot of us don't talk about. Poverty and lack of access to these type of mental health resources can exacerbate mental health challenges in Black communities. That's a huge one. And lack of culturally competent services. I think that it's speaking in a very general way here. It's basically saying, I have a clip from this, and it's talking about how less than 1% of mental health care professionals are Black. So it's not very likely that you're going to see someone that looks like you, or that you'll have access to someone who looks like you if you're in a need for mental health services, is part of what it's saying. I'll also throw in there, unfortunately, a lot of people in our community, they tend to use their status, even as a mental service provider, to clout chase. That Dr. Shabri Rawls is the first one that comes to mind. You understand what I'm saying? This lady's supposed to be out here providing mental health services, and she's out here twerking on the gram and talking about how basically Black men ain't shit, and these are the same Black men patients that she has. So I just had to go over those things real quick to give us a basis on what we're talking about, give us some background. I don't want to, talk to people all day. They can read stuff for themselves, but that is the foundation. So what do you guys have to say on that? We want to make sure we respect our time today. But go ahead, talk to me. What you got?
Oh, you could go ahead, Bobby. Right now I'm dealing with something with Instagram, so it's not showing on our people on Instagram, so I'm trying to fix it real quick.
Yeah,
Drake, what you got? What you got? Talk to me.
Wasn't gonna say too much. You did a very thorough job of getting into that. One thing I definitely want to highlight is you mentioned, and we have to be mindful when it comes to the statistics and the data that is being reflected in a lot of studies that we cover. Mm-hmm. The data is only as good, for the most part, as the info points that we're able to touch on. So you just mentioned right there that there's a lot of barriers that come between people seeking the mental health that they need. Stigmas, embarrassment, all those things. So when you mentioned that the numbers show and suggest that 1 in 5 men are dealing with mental health illnesses or issues, we have to understand that the reality is that number is probably a lot greater. It's probably closer to maybe 1 in 4, possibly even 1 in 3, because again, that 1 in 5 is indicative of people who have had the courage or the ability to come forward and seek help, or more than likely they had some incident that brought that to the forefront. Maybe they had a mental breakdown and they were Baker acted, and it came out, hey, this person has such and such, or it was court ordered that they go to therapy, and during the course that it came out, this person is suffering from such and such. So 1 in 5 is what we know. The reality is it's probably a lot closer to 1 in 3, I would say. I wouldn't go as far as saying 1 in 2, but it's probably a lot closer to 1 in 3. And also, when it comes to mental health illnesses and crises, not all mental health illnesses are permanent. You know, there are some conditions like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and whatnot that, for the most part, you have that for the long haul. Some of these things can develop later on in life, and once you have them, you have them. But some are also acute. You might have a temporary issue. You might be under a lot of stress at work, and then you sink into depression. and then you go to therapy, you get some treatment, what have you, and then later on you're good. You've overcome those issues. So just like with the flu, you could have it for a spell and overcome it later on.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why it's very important to seek treatment and therapy soon as possible, so you can get the maximum healing as quick as possible, because the longer that you have to sit with these things on your chest, again, causes further problems down the line, and sometimes it might even lead to issues with suicide or other destructive behaviors. Maybe you don't commit suicide, but maybe you slip into alcoholism. Maybe you develop a drug habit.
Yeah.
Maybe you develop an addiction of other sorts, sexual addiction, risky behavior addiction. Maybe you try and do risky things where you're not committing suicide, but you're putting yourself in harm's way for the adrenaline rush. So we have to be mindful of these things. And like always, the sooner, the better. And hell, not even an ounce. A drop of prevention is worth a metric ton of cure. A little can go a long way early. But if you wait till it's almost too late, then you really run the risk of it not doing any good. You know, if you get bit by a snake and you get anti-venom right away, you can get healed. You're no worse for the wear. But if you wait till the last minute, the venom's almost touching your heart. Now you're really putting the venom, the anti-venom, in jeopardy of not being as effective. So again, can't stress this enough. It's not possible. The sooner, the better. Don't wait. Seek mental health treatment if you feel like you're in that position where you have a lot of stress. If you don't feel like you're there yet, look for ways on how you can take up stress management. Find ways to relieve your stress, ways to process so you can get these monkeys off your back, and make time for your self-care, man. Some R&R again. Rest is a part of warfare. Make sure you get your R&R in so you can be recharged, rejuvenated, and you can handle everything life throws at you with maximum effort, energy, and efficiency.
Facts. Yes, sir. All great points. Very well said. Aunt Malcolm, what you got, man?
You know, it's like you stated a lot of facts, which I think is very, very important. I did want to share something that I got. I saw Bobby dropped in the comments from a brother. I guess it's an African brother, Tianshi. I guess that's his name, Tianshi or something like that. And he says, point of view.
I think it is. Oh, okay.
Tanashi. Yeah, Tanashi. Okay. And he says, as a pastor, I've watched the church quietly partner with the culture to dishonor fathers. And then throughout the thread, he started making points. He said, you love Mary, but you dismiss Joseph, even though Joseph protected and covered and raised a child that wasn't biologically his. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. You demand provision, but you rarely honor the pressure fathers carry. Socks, bookmarks, toll boxes, ties for Father's Day, while their souls are bleeding every year. You want healed men, but offer no safe space for them to bleed, break, or rebuild. Then tell them to go outside to the church therapy. Posting Happy Father's Day to single moms and others, like the culture, while ignoring the fathers you have never fought for, never covered, or never honored, because fathers are disposable. You use Father's Day as another pulpit to tell other fathers they lack, while the ones who stay rarely hear thank you. Truth is, you don't honor fathers, you don't cover them, you don't restore them, and maybe that's why many churches are dying. Because culture taught the church to dishonor fathers when the church was supposed to correct it. Instead, many co-signed it. Fathers deserve better what the church has given them, and fathers don't need to be perfect. They need to be honored. Honor your father and mother, and that may go emphasis Ephesians 6:2. So I thought that was a powerful thread. I appreciate that, Bobby, for sharing it. You know, Bobby be dropping some gems and sharing that, and I thought that was very powerful, especially the part where all the pressure is on us, but the men don't have nowhere for an outlet. Again, I've talked to this same woman before, and while I was telling her about the history of the suicide rate and the pressure of the man that that it comes upon, because the man is the source of everything. You know, everybody comes to him for financial burdens, but he can't go nowhere else for financial burden. But there is an outlet for men. There's two of them, right? And the two outlets for men are barbershops, and the other one is their homeboys, their close friends.
Yeah.
And why this is so powerful is because a lot of women clown guys now, saying you look out for your homeboys more than anybody. Oh, you spend time with your homeboys for everybody. Let me tell you something, ladies. If you are talking like that to a man who is having the balance, but maybe he spends a little bit more time with his homeboys, I'm going to tell you what, that is not a fucking problem. Let that man go out there and hang with his boys, because what you don't see, what you don't hear, and the elephant in the room is that when he is on his ass and you're demanding the same financial responsibilities to him, whether he has a job or not, he has to find that money. And guess who's gonna loan him that money? His homeboys.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that. And guess what? His homeboys clown him, but they don't clown him like y'all do. Y'all clown him in a disrespectful manner. Homeboys clown each other like fairly ranking on each other out of love. Oh, damn, boy, you with that girl again. She draining your pockets. Well, here's $500. Here's 15. Don't worry about paying me back right now, man. When you get straight, I know you take care of me because you my boy. You done did it for me. And those are the times that they can cry on the dude's shoulder. Those are the times they can open up and show their vulnerability to their homeboys. Those are the times that they can say, damn, boy, I'm so glad to have you as my friend in my life because I was on my dick. That's the favorite line that a lot of men say when they out here hurting. Boy, I'm on my dick. And once the homeboy hears that, he's like, I got you, dog. Don't worry about it. Take this. You know what I'm saying? And those are the moments y'all don't see. Those are the moments you don't hear about. Those are the self-care moments, and the self-boosting moments are gained through their homeboys. So don't discredit them for hanging with them, because by them hanging and spending time with their homeboys is one of the reasons why they have a safety net and continue the lifestyle that you're getting is continued through their homeboys, even though they're not telling you, because everybody at the end of the day falls short. Don't think everybody's always making money and everybody's always providing 24/7. Some of your biggest providers have fell flat on their ass. Some of your multi-millionaires have been broke multiple times. And guess what? Somebody's bailed them out. Whether they got a loan from the bank or they had another millionaire homeboy that gave them a couple more dollars to get on their feet.
Yeah, it happens.
And
it happens, bro. It happens, gang.
I'll land my plane on that.
Facts. Very well said.
I remember I saw the other day a story about this dude, a bunch of his friends. He had a large group of friends, about 10 friends. And what they did was, they'd all had PS5s. They would all get together and game regularly, but they all upgraded their systems. Dude had lost his job and funds was tight for a little bit. He's still going through it. So what all his boys did is they all pooled in their money. I think it's about like maybe $50 or $60 each. They all pooled in their money, and they all pitched in and bought a PS5 for him, along with the games that they all had on that console, so he would be able to play with them and they wouldn't be left out. So, and like you mentioned, they wrote him a little letter saying, "Hey man, we know you're going through it right now, but don't worry about it. You good? Hurry up, get your ass on here so you can run these sticks with us real quick." Big thing. And again, it's about that camaraderie and that pooling together of resources for the purpose of uplifting and encouraging and stabilizing. That's very powerful. I know a lot of brothers that play games online, for example. Not that that's the only way, but I've heard dudes say that, we get in these lobbies, whether it's Call of Duty or whatever game. A lot of times we get in the lobby and we don't actually even play. we just here talking and chatting up about real things, about work, about family life, stress, everything we're doing, dating, relationships. A lot of times fellas get on just to talk.
That's right.
And some things you have to keep in mind because, again, we understand that, unfortunately, I wouldn't say that the emotional intelligence of men is low. I would say that it differs from what we would typically think about it. Because the reality is we still very much live in a society where emotions are projected as the arena of women.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to that. But primarily, emotions in the typical way, the whole language around it really is spoken from a female perspective. The whole talking out your feelings and being transparent and being vulnerable, those are things that typically you get straight up from women. Women will go and have coffee at the shop and they'll be in the hair salon and they'll spill their guts to one another and everything.
Yeah.
Men won't typically go up to each other and say, hey man, I'm having a real rough time right now. That's not comfortable for a lot of men. A lot of men, people period, but a lot of men require a little intermediary or like a little distraction, so to speak, when it comes to emoting. The same way how you go to the doctor as a kid and the doctor might distract you. Hey, look over here. Stick with the needle. So a lot of men, they'll be out here playing Call of Duty, shooting up zombies and busting headshots and others. And while they're doing that, they're having deep conversations about life and, different stressors and, the joys and everything. So these outlets that men have are not traditional, but it's important. So when we have these avenues, we have to understand that's supposed to be supported and really embraced. You also got to watch out for some of the women that are down talk that, because not all, but a good number of women have issues forming positive relationships with other women. We've heard women say things like, I don't have any female friends because they're all jealous. They're all,
all the time,
catty, whatever. I've never heard men say, and I'm a man. I know I'm in the locker rooms. I'm in the guys' spaces.
Right.
I've never heard a man say, man, I ain't got no, I don't have any male friends because they all do X, Y, Z. I've heard some dudes say, I don't trust anyone.
I've heard that.
Including women as well. They don't trust anybody. But I've never heard dudes specifically say, man, I don't trust men. Men are all dogs, X, Y, Z, and the third. I've never heard that.
No one normal. I mean, I heard Dame Dash say that, but Dame Dash got a few things going on up here. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think I've ever heard any normal guy say that. You know what I'm saying? Dame Dash is I don't trust men. He's the only one I've ever heard say that bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you got to watch out for those women because, again, consider the source. Okay, it's sus when dudes spend too much time with the fellas. Okay, well, how much time with the ladies do you spend? Oh, you have any female friends? Oh,
not only that. Look. You women have to understand this, and I get it. There's such a thing as, spending too much time. You just hanging out with your homeboys all the time. Okay, fine. But if you are one of those women who's anti-homeboy, you understand what I'm saying? You may be contributing to a type of imbalance in that man that makes him resentful of you, whereas he's not getting that brotherly camaraderie that kind of sharpens him, and makes him okay in that regard. And he's just up under you all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good look either. Steel sharpens steel. Men need to be in the presence of other men to an extent. And women need to realize that. So very good points. Very good. You know what I'm saying? That's very solid. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. I think so. You done there with, you were done, Bobby? Want to make sure I'm good before we go into the next topic, because I really wanted to touch on this because we talk about men's mental health and the issues. There are many different subcategories under men's mental health, but I think they almost all stem from doing some of the research that I did this week. They almost all stem from some type of depression. So I really want to kind of drill down on that just a little bit with some of these videos that I found. Check this out. These are two very interesting videos.
When I was 23, I was cut from the CFL after I was not drafted in the NFL. I had to move back in with my parents in a small apartment in Tampa. And again, dreams dashed. You work so hard, and then somebody's saying that, well, you're just not good enough, and you got to go home. And at 23, you think life is over. I fell into a deep depression, and I remember at that time The only thing I wanted to do was clean the walls. I grabbed some cleaner and a rag, and for days I would clean. I cleaned everything. It was just the only thing I can control. I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. You're not the first to go through it. You're not gonna be the last to go through it. And oftentimes it happens. You feel like you're alone, and you feel like it's only you, and you're in your bubble. And I wish I had someone at that time who could just pull me aside and, hey, it's gonna be okay. It'll be okay. So I wish I knew that. Just gotta remember, hold on to that fundamental quality of faith. Have faith. And on the other side of your pain is something good.
So there's one of them. There's one video there that I have, and I want to get into this other one. That's a very powerful one there, but I also want to talk about this because I think a lot of people that we know, a lot of people that I know, tend to fall more into this. But check this out.
Why people like lean on it so hard, and at one point during when Ari had to cut my high top, that's where the high top came from. I was literally at that wall where I'm like, this leg, it's not getting, like, I can't do nothing. I'm like, Ari, like, at this point, he like, dude, can you get up, change, cut your hair, come on, let's cut your hair, let's do something different. And everybody keep telling me, you need to rest, you need to rest, you need to rest. I'm like, bro, I've been going to sleep every day for 2 months. I'm like, I can't do nothing. I can't run, I can't jump, I can't push somebody, I can't do nothing. I'm like, if I walk down the stairs and mess up, I'm down. You know what I'm saying? So I was just in that, and I was like, bro, this is the first time I could acknowledge it. I was like, man, depression's real.
So you got two different perspectives there on depression. One guy there, Imam, was just like, depression is just the most fake, oh my God, you full of shit if you saying, you depressed or whatever. He just kind of was a depression denier, and The Rock was more reflective in his depression. Like, okay, this is something I'm going through that I've never experienced before. And he spoke about how, what was very telling to me in that video, he went home and he got a rag and some cleaner and he just cleaned. He just cleaned and wouldn't stop cleaning. And he said that it's because it's the only thing that he felt he could control. That was something that like, because that's what it really breaks down to me. When you feel like you have control over nothing and you are a man, and that is kind of at the core of your essence of who you are. Having control, being in control, being disciplined. It's very hard to be disciplined when you don't know what your next move is. You understand what I'm saying? So I found those two videos to be extraordinarily powerful. I learned a lot from them. I'd never seen that side of The Rock before, or Iman Shumpert. These are two of the most textbook masculine men that you can think of, by Hollywood standards, somebody that we all know, we think of, I don't know what, about all the stuff that happened with him and Tiana, if any of that's true. But just aside from that, these are two, alpha male guys by, how everybody would look at the situation. They're telling you they were both in a serious state of depression. They were going through hell within themselves, and one of them didn't even realize he was real, and it made him a believer. And the other one, felt a sense of hopelessness because of it. Very vulnerable. What do y'all say about that, man?
It goes back to the whole notion that everybody thinks because you look strong, like you have two guys who are physically some real sized dudes. I mean, as much as Iman looks like a slim guy, he's really pretty a big dude, Mm-hmm. And if the appearance that these guys are supposed to be strong all the time because their physical appearance is strong, sometimes the ones that have the strongest appearance on the outside be the ones that are very fragile and are holding on by a thread by the inside. And a lot of times, so when you see those people, you automatically think that throughout life they just have it good. Everything is good. Like Rock's career, you don't see no kinks in his career. Iman has his career going on. It never had no kinks in it till, you know, he started dating what's her name, and then that started to expose a lot of stuff, what was going on behind the scenes between him. But as far as him being in the media, there was no kinks on Iman. You know what I'm saying? They had a beautiful marriage relationship, everything like that. So you're seeing the perfect image and the perfect projection on screen, but behind the scenes, they were going through a lot of stuff that a lot of people probably would look down on them if they were to open up. Because when you see somebody that is portrayed as a strong or perfect kind of image, the moment they say, man, it's kind of tough out here, the average person who's going through everything like that, like, oh man, you think that's tough because, you know, you see money, they think that everything is okay with money, and it really isn't. So they're like, oh, you complaining that you're doing this? Man, you should be me, who go to McDonald's and work at McDonald's, and then I got to come home and take care of my children, and I got to cook it, you know. And then so now you downplaying this person who is really at the low moment, instead of having empathy and trying to figure out, like, hey, what is it that you can do to help yourself always be in good spirits or not try to hit that low bottom. Instead of that, you're comparing yourself to say, oh, you should be grateful. In your lowest moment, people sit back and say, you should be grateful because you're not this, you know. And I think a lot of times that's where a lot of people mess up at, having that type of notion or that type of assumption that you should be strong 24/7. Nobody's strong 24/7. I'm telling you, you have your days, you have your up and down moments. It's just a lot of people don't put it out there, what they go through on a daily. And a lot of that is not really per se that they're trying to portray this image that they got it together. It's that a lot of times we have so much negativity in the world, we don't want to add negativity from our angle or our perspective, because maybe where you look at us, maybe you get the gleams of hopes of doing better. So us showing you the kink in the armor might portray or have you in another direction of, in the wrong direction, or being depressed. Because now if you see me going through depression, now you feel like, oh man, this thing doesn't avoid everybody, it comes out. But if you see me out here doing what I'm doing, then it gives you motivation to say, you know what, I can go out there and run through it and get through it and try to get to that level that these brothers are on. So sometimes people, and the men do this a lot, they hide their kinks, they hide their the chinks in their armor, they hide their depression, they hide all of that to help and protect other people, not just for themselves. And that kind of protection also carries a stronger burden. And I'll land my plane on that.
All right. You cooking with hot grease over there. Bobby Drake, what's up?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, man. Look, the thing that people don't understand is that, and I get those perspectives as well too. I hear those and I smirk, and you're right. That's what's out there. But I also understand it because there's a lot of, I don't want to say this. The conversation about a lot of things, strength, mental health, and everything else overall, a lot of that conversation dialogue is very, very, I wouldn't say outdated, but it's very underdeveloped, right? Yeah. There's strength looks like a lot of different things, you know. Now, the strength that we tend to uphold the most, of course, is physical strength. You know, people that are very strong physically, they can lift huge weights, or they can, you know, run. They're very, very talented physically. And we tend to also praise people's ability to, unfortunately, basically be in a shitstorm and from the outside not look down or not look like it's affecting them. We don't also discuss how strength looks when you are going through the midst of it and you might be broken and battered, but you're still able to take care of yourself. That's also strength. And there's lots of different nuances as well too. And because of that, we put people in a box where they feel like I have to portray this, I have to showcase this, otherwise people will think I'm weak. People will think I'm soft. People won't think that I'm capable. Or not just for those purposes, for vanity, but also for the sake of being in support for others. I can't show any weakness because my children might get scared, or my significant other is depending on me, my wife is looking at me, they're depending on me. I can't look weak for their sake. And so that causes us to put on that jacket, like, we're all this, not realizing we can also look busted and broken and beaten and battered down, but still be strong. The Rocky quote actually fits perfect in this conversation. Life isn't it's not about hitting and never getting hit back, but it's about getting hit and still able to keep on going. If you think about those movies, Sylvester Stallone in films, he damn near had his eyeball hanging out of his socket on a couple of occasions, but he's still hanging in there. He's woozy, he's rocking back and forth on his feet, looks unstable, but he's still able to keep on going until he finally persevered. That's also strength. And we don't celebrate that nearly enough. I resonated heavily with The Rock had to share because and I've shared this with a few people here and there, but depression is something that I've also battled as well too. And in my case, depression got so rough for me to the point where I was dealing with suicidal thoughts, and I even was on the verge of even making an attempt before as well. And it's the same exact thing. I really felt isolated, and depression is so amazing. And I think it really speaks to the power of stress in our lives, where you can literally get bogged down so much by this thing that you can't see, you can't touch, you can't taste it, smell it, you can't use any of your senses to perceive it. And yet it can be so incredibly heavy that it damn near shuts everything out, where you really feel like it's just you on an island and nobody's anywhere even remotely close to your destination. And it's powerful, man. And by all attempts and purposes, for the most part, I've always been the same person I am. I tend to always be energetic. I was very, outspoken, very, life of the party type. And even looking back now, you would not have known that there was anything wrong with me seriously at that time, just being in my presence. I was still cracking jokes. I was still offering to be of help or helping people out or trying to be of service.
Wow.
I still went out to functions and events, whatever. But it was like I was in a soundproof room. I'm here. I can see on the outside. People can see me, but they can't see what's going on. And I still felt hurt. I still felt lonely. I still felt isolated, like I didn't have a lifeline. And, sometimes we don't recognize what that looks like. You might never get a person to say, I'm going with so-and-so. But there can be signs that are visible and present that we don't tune in on. One of the things that I dealt with, and I'm not sure how physically visible that was where I was concerned, but one of the things that really was kicking my ass when I was dealing with depression was insomnia. And, I'm out the woods, thank God. I'm able to overcome that. But even to this day, every now and then I will get a bout of insomnia that comes up and kicks my ass, where, I struggle to get to sleep sometimes. But back in those days, I was not sleeping at all. I was not sleeping. I would be time for me to go to sleep. And, I'd be tired. Don't get it twisted. It's not like I had an abundance of energy. I'd be dog ass tired, but I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't get rest. And for me, those negative thoughts, the thoughts where I was fighting off suicide, those would come to me late at night when I couldn't get to sleep. And so I would just feel all the self-doubt, all the issues that I was dealing with, just whispering in my ear. And what finally prompted me was that there was one night, it was a Sunday night, it was in the summer, might possibly have been June. And I remember I was sitting on my couch and I had the TV on, but I wasn't watching nothing. It was on infomercials, whatever, all the Law and Order, reboots, whatever, that was been done. It was just infomercials, whatever. I was sitting on the couch looking at the TV, but I wasn't watching the TV. I was just zoned out. And, I was just arguing with myself saying, it just hurts. I'm tired of dealing with this. I don't want to go through this anymore. I've done enough. Just put an end to it. I fought enough. That's cool. And I went I grabbed a bottle of wine out the fridge that someone had brought as a housewarming gift years ago. Just had it sitting there, just never did anything with it. Grabbed that, and I grabbed a bottle of aspirin, and I had it sitting on the coffee table in front of me. And I'm just sitting there on the couch, just leaning back, just staring at him. And it's a whole battle back and forth between my head. Take him, don't take him, take him, don't take him, take him, don't take him. And I never got around to doing that. I was right there, but I never got around to doing that. And I had no presence of mind to realize, you know what? I overcame it this time. I don't know if it's going to happen again. And when I tell a story, I'm so grateful every time I think about this, man, how God really reached out and really used health and wellness as a means to get me to that point. That's why I'm such a big advocate of health and wellness and taking care of yourself. I knew I was a broke college student at the time. I didn't have any money to go therapy. I couldn't afford to see anybody, you know. But the one thing that happened was I knew I needed to do something about this. I can't get to sleep, and when I can't sleep, I'm messed up in the head. I need something to do at this time. God looked out, and a Planet Fitness happened to open up literally about a block or two away, like walking distance. And so I saw that it was a 24/7, well, not 24/7, like 24/5, 5 days out of the week was open 24 hours. I saw that it was open. I'm like, you know what? Soon I peeped that, went ahead, took my little $10, bam, signed up. And my habit was every night when I couldn't go to sleep, I would take my ass over there and I would just go ahead and get it. I wasn't big on working out at the time, so I didn't know what I was doing. But my whole goal was I just need to get myself exhausted so when I get home, I knock the fuck out. And I did that, and slowly but surely that ended up curing me. So, you know, God made that way. I didn't have the funds for therapy, but I could afford $10 a month for Planet Fitness.
There you go.
And so I went there and I started working out. And as I started working out, I started doing pull-ups, push-ups. I was doing bench pressing. And then I started, you know, because I've always been that nerd type. If I'm doing something, I want to know what I'm doing. So I started looking up videos. How do I exercise, or what does exercise look like? And I started getting my fitness nerd on. And before long, I was putting serious work there. And so every night I would faithfully work out to get myself in shape. And over the months, man, you know, I wasn't super Arnold Pro ready, but I had my muscles on. I was ripped, whatever. Up until the time I'd been about 187 pounds in high school. I worked myself to 220 pounds of muscle. And that ended up being my thing. And so I always talk about how fitness saved my life. It really did. God used fitness to save my life. And so, you know, I'm a little long with it, but I just really want to share that you don't know. So make it a point to reach out to the people in your life. Just ask questions. Hey, you doing all right? Don't wait for them to look beaten down. Just ask questions. How you doing, man? Everything's good? You know, what's going to talk to me, whatever. And do that. And really be genuinely open. Watch your conversation also, because sometimes people will look for someone to reach out to and they hear you cracking certain jokes on so-and-so crazy. Man, oh, depressed ass nigga. They'll hear that, and that might really make them recognize it's not safe to share this. So watch your words, watch your conversation, watch the things that you poke fun of and joke about and even get on people about, because you never know who's listening and how that might actually be cutting them off from a potential lifeline. So
that's actually
I just had to throw that out there. Hopefully that'll help somebody else.
That's a real wow. That was a powerful testimony, man. And that's a really good point. That last point that you made. I don't think a lot of people really appreciate that. And even people in my own family, you know, we joke about certain stuff. And, you know, I know when I'm raising my kids, I'm going to be balls to the walls. Hey, don't joke about that shit around shorty. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck who it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I can remember certain
things are just off limits.
Specific things when I was a kid that jokes used to be made about. Not even jokes, just some things that, you know, you admire a little too much. You know, you never understand how kids take things. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're talking about, a real man look like this, a real man got arms like tree trunks around your, you know, boy, nephew or niece or son, or, you know, your niece or your son or whatever, they may not look like that. And now they're feeling insecure about themselves because of some shit that you said as an adult. You're not thinking of this consciously, but that's the problem. Too many of us don't think before we speak. You know, I have to work on that.
Especially if they like and respect you. Especially if they like and respect you.
Yeah.
Man, look.
You might have crushed that kid's pride, and now that kid's
we're human beings. We're going to mess up. We're going to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to get it right all the time. But we have to be mindful about working to get it right more than we get it. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Just focus on getting it right more than you get it wrong. That's all you got to do. No one's saying you got to be perfect. You got to walk on eggshells and a tightrope. But make it a point, hey, we need to build that habit. Certain things you don't say, you don't do. Hey, watch your mouth. Hey, we don't say that around here. What's wrong with you? We don't talk like that around here. Or
it's a whole.
No, that's not right, man.
It's a whole thing. And not only me, but other people that I grew up with, they can tell you. I can remember, you know, a certain dude who we all grew up with. You know, a friend of ours had this daughter, and he used to call her Porky. Well, that didn't sit right with her. You know, and to this day, she's still overweight. You understand what I'm saying? That didn't sit right with her. It really made her feel bad. This is a child, and this is back in the 80s. So motherfuckers was really, nobody was politically correct about nothing. But when you really stop and think about it, and you look back and you see how impressionable children are and people are, you know, because a lot of us, to a certain extent, we're still children. There's some things that some insecurities we never heal past. You know what I'm saying? So to this day, certain things may still hurt when somebody hits that button or whatever the case may be. So just generally speaking, yes, I agree. We got to be much more careful with stuff that we talk about. And that testimony was really, really powerful, brother. I'm glad that you got good. And there's another person that we all know and love that we almost lost. I'm not going to talk about it, not going to say his name, but there's another person that we all know and love that we could have prospectively, you know, it could have happened. Thank God, you know, God got him. He got some people that are really solid, rolling with him, whatever the case may be. And that didn't happen, but that shook me up. I'm like, oh my God, really? Oh man.
Yeah, man.
We could have lost this gem of a person. Are you kidding me? Oh, I mean, because the community needs certain people. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just leave it there. But yeah, you and this other brother I'm talking about, like, these are people that we could have lost that are powerful, necessary people in the community. And I just think that
I'm still not comfortable with sharing that I'm still not comfortable with sharing that testimony. This might be the fourth or fifth time I've actually spoken out about that, like on a public platform, but I've made it a mission that I'm not going to necessarily be liberal with it, but when the opportunity presents itself, I'm not going to shy away from it, because it's important that when we talk about things like this, that we don't just let it be a boogeyman where depression is just some invisible thing that we can't put a name on. No, let's put a face on it. If you need to put a face on depression, you can put mine on it. I went through it. Yes, me. I went through it. I know it doesn't look like it. I'm a survivor. So depression looks like me. Depression looks like Dwayne Johnson. Depression looks like Iman Shumpert. When we do that, it puts things in perspective, and it takes it from this mythical thing that we just take lightly, and it makes it just like, dang, we might have lost The Rock. We might have lost Bobby. We might have lost Iman. We might have lost this person. Or it makes it more real, and it kind of empowers us as well, because we realize that anybody can go through it, but at the same time, anybody can recover from it as well too. Yes. So it doesn't have to be a death sentence. You can get past it. There is life after this.
Very well said.
The vulnerability also creates opportunity to heal other people, because they're inspired to say somebody that they see so strong went through it and was able to progress through it and continue on. And that gives people inspiration. So sometimes the vulnerability and the transparency is also there to help others, even though it might be a little painful to express it, because you're reliving, while you're talking, you're reliving those moments again every time you happen. But by you reliving those short moments in your head at that moment, it also can give somebody that's listening a more viewpoint of saying, I got to keep continuing to push through, like my brother Drake or my brother Iman or my brother Dwayne pushed through, and it end up being in their favor. Because look what happened, you know? Look what the results were. You know, it made them better out of their whole concrete. It's kind of like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, you know? You become stronger in the end. So, yeah, I always tip my hat off to anybody that's vulnerable, because I know you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the community and people that might silently be going through the same thing and want to see that that solution or that push through can actually be something that is prosperous in the long run.
Yes. And at the end of the day, that's what you call real strength. You know, a lot of us like to have this this exaggerated idea of what strength is, you know, and I mean, the strongest thing that you can think of has some type of a weakness. You understand what I'm saying? And it's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to, I'm going to say that loud and proud. It's okay to have weaknesses. That makes you human. You know what I'm saying? And when you're really strong, when you're really powerful, you can take something that is a perceived weakness and you can turn it into a strength. What you did in your story, Bobby, you sound like you knew my grandmother, Evelyn Haynes. She would be extraordinarily proud of you. That woman taught me from when I was old enough to hear and understand the words. R.I.P. to my grandmother. I love that woman to life to this day. She's one of the most wonderful people that walk the face of the earth. She taught me from a very young age, controlled anger becomes strategy. That's one of the first lessons I got from my grandmother. Controlled, I'm 3-4 years old. What are you talking about, lady? Controlled anger.
That's a good way to start off.
Becomes strategy. Exactly. Controlled anger becomes strategy. And she would elaborate on this for the rest of my life until the day she passed. And she would always bang that in my head. And that's exactly what you did. You had this anger, you had this frustration, you controlled it, and you turned it into a strategy to help yourself. That's beautiful, though. Yeah. That's beautiful. And that's how we need to be moving out here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you for that. Let me get into a couple of these other videos, because I really want to get into, you know, some of the things that have been going on out here. I want to make sure that I kind of touch on, you know, celebrity news, and some of these things are not necessarily trending. I think one of them is, but I just want to show these videos and just peep the pattern. All right, just check this out, because I think this is a lot of the stuff that we need to kind of nip in the bud. Yeah.
Zionist, nigga. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Jesus Christ, Hitler, yay. We don't have to bow to this shit, nigga. Okay, it's 60 million of us in America, 60 million Jews in the world. 50% of our deaths is abortion. 25% of us go to prison. Raise one hand if you don't know one nigga in prison, one nigga got locked up, and one nigga poor. Raise your hand if you don't know one person got abortion. Now I tell you, if it was in a Jewish mother on Friday with no fucking, everybody raised their hands. So wait a second. But wait a second. Who make the hospitals though? Who got the hospitals? These are Zionists, nigga. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Jesus Christ, Hitler, yay. Third party.
So there's that character. Hold on. Let me. I got a couple more. Just real quick. I want to really drive this point home, because this is an issue.
Me and my homies, like, I think this was even trending on TikTok.
I can't wait.
Yo, he said, I don't know if you ever watched the interview with it. He said he started a car battery with his hands. I said, if I seen her eyes light up, I'm like, Jesus Christ, he could do no wrong.
Hey,
she believes everything.
Listen,
you did not start no car battery with your bare hands.
If I didn't, may God murder my children. I hate that I even spoke about that. If I didn't, may God murder my children.
No, don't say that.
Please, kill them today.
Yeah. One more. I really want to drive this point home, because you have a lot of these little musty Negroes running around, you know.
Sexy red nigga. Stop playing with me, nigga.
Why is it so low?
And clip that all you want to, nigga. Empty the clip, nigga. Talking about I party with Sexy Red, nigga. I slept with Sexy Red, nigga. Ask her. That's on the dead homies, nigga. I slept with her, nigga.
Yeah, you couldn't hear that so well for whatever reason. I guess the audio got messed up. But Ray J sitting up here talking about how he slept with Sexy Red on the dead homies. On the dead homies, nigga. I slept with her, nigga. Yeah, I slept with Sexy Red. Like, that's a flex. And the commonality between those three threads is because I want to believe. In fact, I think the best case scenario is if I believe that all three of these brothers have mental issues. That's what I want to believe. That's the best case scenario. Because if you don't have mental issues and you're out here spewing this nonsensical gibberish and bile just to do it, just to get attention, you know what? That may be just a whole other type of mental illness in and of itself. You understand what I'm saying? So my question is, when do we say when? Because I've told you before, I don't believe Kanye West has a mental illness. I don't buy it. Not in the conventional sense, I guess, that at least that we're thinking about. Like there's something wrong with him. He has no control over what he's saying. He's just kind of saying shit. I don't buy it. And it's because of Kanye West's history and how he has always branded himself as this blabbermouth that just blurts out whatever. And, you know, just kind of does a whole bunch of theatrical cooning for attention. He's literally always done that. I don't even believe that George Bush don't like black people was about standing up for the community. I believe that was all him, you know, and his self-worshiping, egotistical, egomaniacal bullshit. I really believe that. I've always believed that about him. Because, you know, if that were really about standing up for black people, there are other ways that he could have done that and been a lot more effective. That wasn't particularly effective. It was a statement that was made. After that, nothing happened. You understand? And the other two, you know, Ray J's up here just kind of, and he does that every few months, just kind of comes out and just says some dumb shit. Kevin Gates, he started a car battery with his hands. What are we doing? Antonio, what's his name? Antonio Brown has done this. Tyrese has done this. At any given time, you can find a black man somewhere today, and black women too. You know, it's just become its own cottage industry. Just kind of this coon Tourette's. You understand what I'm saying? Where these niggas just kind of blurt out whatever dumb shit they can, you know, in order to get attention, versus someone that really does have a mental disorder and needs help. How do we even differentiate between the two in this climate? Because what's happening is people who really do need mental help and people who really do need mental assistance, they're not being taken seriously, you know, and some of those people who need mental health, they're like, okay, well, they watch Kanye and they watch Ray J and they watch all these other buffoons get out here and say all this dumb shit on camera. And they don't even try to get help because, oh, this is the way to get a bag now. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a very thin line. And I don't want to disparage anyone that has real mental issues. I don't want to do that because that's important. We need to help those people. They need to be willing to help themselves, though, first off. And secondly, again, how do we even draw that line? Because the lines are very blurred and people are using this type of pseudo-intellectual psycho babble vomit to draw attention to themselves. You understand what I'm saying? So how do y'all feel about that? Talk to me. Oh, and my God, Kevin Gates is the most despicable thing out of all of that. If I'm lying, may God kill my kids right now. Who says that right now? And he made sure he specified. Who says that? Go ahead, brothers. Go ahead.
Yeah. You got three different kind of people, right? Mm-hmm. You have three different individuals. you have Ray J, who is known as his whole life as Brandy's brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's not known as Ray J. He never had an identity. He never had his own legacy. So the little brother syndrome is the one that's always fighting for notoriety, but also was the one that was coddled by the parents the most.
Mm-hmm.
So you're carried by your parents, but you're also living in the shadow of your elders, I should say your older siblings.
Yeah.
Right. So the identity crisis has been through his whole life. Brandy is the one who got him in TV appearances on Moesha and all that other stuff and brought him into that reality of working through acting and things like that. He wasn't as talented as Brandy. Brandy was talented as far as her voice, and as far as her acting, it wasn't bad. It was pretty decent, you know, but she did it enough to make a good living and a legacy out of it. He never had anything on his own 2 feet that he could do that kind of separate him into his own identity and separated him into his own legacy. So he suffered from that identity crisis. And that's why you notice that everything he talks about and everything he does, he boasts and brags about it because he wants the world to try to accept him as his own identity, his own man, that he never stood on his 2 feet from day one.
Mm.
So people got to be very wary of that when you're looking at certain individuals and to analyze that perspective of them, because a lot of times there's like we did the show last week, projections. That is a projection that he's doing over everybody. You know what I'm saying? So he's talking about, this, and he's talking about being a gangster, and he's got all these stories about dead people that ain't alive to debunk some of the stuff he was talking about with Tupac and all that other stuff. And there's nobody there to debunk it because he wants to stand out as, oh shit, let's hear what Ray J has to say. And now he's been accustomed to that. Now he's got his, he's done the headphone things that kind of gave him some money. That was his own little staple identity, but it wasn't no big thing where everybody was out there getting those Raycon headphones. Everybody wasn't. It was about Dre Beats and all these other people, the other headphones. So he really didn't stand out on that. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then he starts to do his reality show, and that shit is trash because now you're doing you got transgenders on there. You're doing all this circuit shit to try to figure out a way to build a brand and build a legacy. And it's not working. It's kind of the story of the bee and the wasp. He's acting like the wasp, trying to mimic the bee. Mm-hmm. And it's not working for him. You're not producing any honey.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So, so you have that on that part of it. Then you got the next clown, Kevin Gates. Kevin Gates says salacious shit all the time, just to get a reaction, to try to get himself relevant again. His music, it never resonated with nobody. Nobody could tell you that he was the top MC in any era at any point or any time. He had a couple of hits here. I think his biggest hits was 2 cell phones. I think I got 2 cell phones. That was it. After that, he was just all podcasts and entertainment. And, it's just the vibe of being a thug to being a Muslim to being this Christ-like figure. It was a fathom through his head, a roller coaster ride of different mythological people that he wanted to be and he wanted to portray. And then you had stupid motherfuckers, the cult-like mentality that gravitates to these type of dumb individuals. And now they're running around here thinking that everything he says is word is bond because he's a master manipulator. And people don't understand that. Master manipulators can control people, can absorb them in, and have them thinking that what they say is God. This is the David Koresh's. These are, we see that in the white form. We just never seen it in the black form. And this is what he is. So you got to be very, very cautious about that. Somebody who has intellectual understanding in your household has to tell you like, hey, this dude ain't, I don't want your mind to be messed up with this dude, because this dude could rewire you in some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, just different type of, it's gender fluid shit. He starts saying gender fluid shit without saying gender fluid shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, you gotta have sex in this way and all that way. And it's like he's trying to tap into every part that gets sensationalization to get the attraction to people to gravitate to him, and it's not working. So when you say something like, oh, I started a car battery with my hands, this is the whole the whole Jesus complex. You know, he's a Muslim now, so he wants to act like a higher level and create himself as that. So if you don't know no better, you don't know anything about electricity, you don't know nothing about science, you don't even know the body. I've been out educating young kids, and I went to his house, and if anybody knows his house down in South Florida, that is a government group home. And I went out there and I started educating kids out there and teenagers, and got them off of, there was gang members inside the group home, and I got them out of the gang and now doing productive things in society. I'm not saying this to brag about that. I'm just telling you that I went inside a facility of children that never had nobody spoke to them in a real sense and gave them the real information that they needed to help provide themselves in the right direction. You know, a lot of our children aren't stupid. It's just they're not being provided the tools to make them successful or putting them on the path of the right way. Part of that, I was telling them, hey, do you know your body? Do you understand that you are gold? You acting like you're poor out here. Your body is worth $1 million. And they looking at me like, what? And I said, yeah, how much you think your heart is worth? How much you think your kidneys are worth? How much you think your hands are worth? Your eyes are worth? Your brain is worth? These people, do you know that these organs are sold and also being transported and donated into hospitals, and people pay big money for that? Your whole body's worth over $1 million, organs and everything. Your skin is worth money. And I'm not telling you this for you to go out there and go kill other children and thinking you're going to make money. I'm just telling you how valuable your body is, that people might want to kill you for it. So understand that you're a walking gold mine. And man, when I tell you that those kids' self-esteem boost up so much that they change their lives, we're not having these hard conversations. So going back to the whole science, no human hands can start a car battery. Why? Because your human skin has, it's the way God has built it. And he talks about God all the time. The way God has built our hands is that we have electrical resistance. So how can you start something and your fucking hands is resistant to electrical? That doesn't make fucking sense. Our body is held with electricity. That's why it has to be resistant to hold electricity inside of our body so it don't go out. So things like that make people look like morons to the people who are intellectually enhanced and knowledgeable enough to know what the fuck you're talking about is bullshit. But the people who don't know what he's talking about, it looks like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Oh man, we got Jesus living amongst us. You know what I'm saying? And that's the fucked up manipulation that this guy executes all the time. Last, and I'll land my plane, is you got this Kanye dumbass who sacrificed his mother to get the means that he got. And I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say. People sit back and say, oh, you believe in that shit? That shit is real. Sacrifices are real. And I've seen a lot of people that have sacrificed their children. And one of the recent ones I've seen is a dude from Philly. I ain't gonna say his name, but if you know who it is, then you know who I'm talking about. Because ever since his, child got sacrificed, his money been through the roof now. And people don't understand that. Kanye's talented, but Kanye's stealing where his talent was here. With that sacrifice to build status in a white supremacy, you care how you put out there that you're not controlled. You are controlled. You are their puppet. And they and God bless and much gracious to the work of Neely Fuller Jr. and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. They have dissected the whole white supremacy and the tactics that they use. And Neely Fuller would tell you that white supremacy controls all points and aspects of whatever is pinpointed on this world. When you look at the woke community, you have white supremacy that controls that part of the community as well. They have agents and people in the woke community. So when you look at people and you think that they are out here for the community, you don't even know that they're assigned with a paycheck to project that type of shit out there. So you guys got to be very careful about who you analyze and who you sit back and try to kind of rub shoulders with, because some people that look good is actually could be paid informants out here. And that's what I look at Kanye for, is a paid fucking informant to do what he needs to do to distract the masses, while white supremacy is out here in their think tanks working on other ways to keep us at a low marginal rate and keep financial apartheid across the global planet. And I'll just land my plane on that.
A lot to unpack there, sir, but you cooked on that, dog. You cooked on that. Chef Anthony Malcolm in the building, y'all. Chef Anthony Malcolm in the building. All right, that's what it is. Yeah. Hey, man, Bobby, you got to give it to us now, man. Talk to me about that collage of brilliance that I just put up with these morons, bruh.
Oh man. Look, part of the problem is twofold. So we've been talking about mental health and how the treatment isn't getting out there because people aren't seeking it. Again, listed as 1 in 5 men suffer from mental health issues. Pretty sure it's a lot close to 1 in 3. Case in point, uno, dos, tres. The reality is, and there are some cases that I think are legitimate, where those 3 are concerned, Ray J probably not as much as the other 2, but where those 3 are concerned, I believe that their mental health issues are in fact legitimate. I do believe that. We know that Kanye and Kanye's been him, and whether for those whether they want to believe that he sacrificed his mother or not, whether it was at his own hand or just because of circumstances, the reality is he did in fact lose his mother. And especially when you look at the relationship that they had, that changes you. He's never been right since then.
He said it himself.
Oh, yeah, he's never been right since then. And he's never gotten help for the issues. Again, had he gotten help right away, had he went out to therapy, gotten treatment to help deal and cope with the loss, might have had somebody different right now. But, you know, when you break a teacup, you're never going to be able to get it back again. You can get, even if you get all the pieces of glass that broke and you try to put it together, you get your Gorilla Glue and you try to glue everything back, it's never going to be the same. When you take a sheet of paper, you ball the paper up, you get nice and tight, whatever, you unfold, you try to uncrinkle it. Even if you were to take an iron, put some little Niagara starch for all my 80s and 90s babies, shout out to Niagara spray starch. You spray it on that thing, you iron it out nice and smooth and everything. It's nice and straight as a board. You're still going to see the wrinkles on it. You're still going to feel the texture. Certain things, when broken, cannot be put back together again. Certainly not the right way. All right? And, you know, when you have resources like Kanye did, even at that time, he's one of the hottest artists doing the thing right there. It's difficult to have people that are going to check you and reel you in because, I mean, we spoke about this before, everybody doesn't want to cut off their access to the source, you the plug. You're the biggest person around you. It's very difficult to get treatment or get people to say, hey, man, you need some help, man, because they're trying to get their bills paid. They're trying to get that flex money. They're trying to be seen or what have you. So when you have these people, especially celebrities in particular, and regular people as well too, but so much more when you have fame and wealth and resources, it's difficult to get help because you don't have enough people who are real around you to check you and hold your feet to the fire that can really call you out on that.
No black women either, by the way.
Another thing that's also there on the other side of that coin, though, unfortunately, we're from a community where a lot of people, due to systematic oppression and white supremacy, have been left in a state of inferiority. Even if they're not in that sense economically, it's a mental sense where you don't feel valuable. You know, Ant, you talked about how you went and you spoke to those kids at his house, and you basically put some worth in their system, or rather, I should say, you kind of dusted off, you spit shined the worth that they had, so where they're able to see themselves properly, because you might have been the first person that came along and actually said, hey, you're valuable. Or if other people said it, they just said that, yeah, sound like a Hallmark card greeting, but you actually gave them some tangible insights and information they didn't have to realize, hey, it's not just some intrinsic values, some mumbo jumbo made up stuff he's talking about. He's saying there's an actual legitimate worth to me. My body is valuable. This vessel that I have, it's valuable. It's worth something. When people don't see themselves as valuable, they will look for ways and opportunities to be valuable and to see themselves in that light. So a lot of people, unfortunately, in our community, they love to just be seen. They love to be seen, and they don't care what the reason for it is. It doesn't matter whether it's because they got a promotion on their job, whether they graduated school, they started a business, or because they're showing their ass and making a fool out of themselves.
Right.
All attention is valid. And we see this in childhood, but the same rules apply with adulthood. The worst thing that a person can suffer from is not receiving negative attention.
Okay.
The worst attention, I think we all spoke about this before as well, too. The worst attention is no attention at all. When you're just ignored, disregarded, and you feel like if you drop down dead today, nobody would remember you 5 minutes from now. That's a horrible feeling. Go right ahead.
Question, though.
I think you're going to ask, or you think you're going to touch where I'm going, but go ahead. I want to.
Okay, I want to touch this because Ant gave us a lot, but I don't think he really answered the fundamental question that I'm trying to answer. How do we, as a society, cope with dealing with these assholes? Because, and I'm going to stand on these assholes, because people say all the time, well, don't talk about them like that. They mentally ill. Don't talk down on them. They got mental issues. Yeah, but they're destroying the fucking community in the process. Okay?
Yeah.
And so how do we handle them? Or how do you, I know how I'm gonna handle them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna bang every time. But how is that the right line of action, being that these people are supposedly not mentally equipped? Because I look at it like this: if you're into the arena, bitch, you down for the fight. If you keep taking your ignorant ass outside, talking stupid all the time, then you must be up to the criticism. You must be up to the scrutiny. You must be fair game. That's how I see it. But maybe I'm wrong. Talk me off the ledge. Is that the way we handle them? Because they are making negative, very negative contributions to Black society with this bullshit.
Yeah, I think that the way that, I mean, I thought like maybe, well, I didn't make it clear, but I'll just say that I'll speak on it. When I was talking about it, I was just putting it in the context of finding people that are the alternative. I think when you have garbage out there, we can talk about garbage all fucking day. Show people the alternative. I could talk about Publix. I could talk about this. I could talk about that. Show me the alternative. You know, I could talk bad about soda. Show me the alternatives and focus on the alternatives.
I hear you. And your answer was brilliant. I'm not taking anything away from your answer.
I get that.
Thanks.
But what I'm also saying, though, these people are so loud that they take up a lot of the air in the room. There are times where a whole week the news cycle has been Kanye and him talking his shit about the Jews. 3 days or so, this guy, Kevin, whatever the fuck is it, Kevin Gates, 3 days or so, that's all anybody's talking about. I hear what you're saying.
Fence. Kevin Fences. He ain't Gates anymore. It's Kevin Fences.
I hear what you're saying, but these people are so big. They're so influential. It's hard to just, try to talk about Farrakhan or try to talk about Francis Cress Wilson or these type of people, or even Tariq Nasheed. Unfortunately, people don't really want to hear that too tough.
What Ant said is half of the coin. That's half the solution. We definitely can have the alternatives out there, because again, it's not enough to say don't listen to XYZ. You need to have a substitute. You can't just create a gap. Well, now what do we do? I don't know. I guess we're going to listen to Cunha. Okay, we're going to listen. That's what it ultimately reverts to, because if you can't replace what's there, you're going to revert back to what was there previously. So having the alternatives is very important. The other half is to do exactly what you talked about. You got to bang on this when it presents itself.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to be nasty or derogatory. You certainly can if you want to, but you don't have to be. But the whole objective is to push back on it. You have to give negative reinforcement in this case. Positive reinforcement would be giving the alternatives. The negative reinforcement is also important because you have to give correction.
Okay, so when you say
I can't just go ahead.
No, I was saying when you say pushback, bang on them. Give me more context to what that means. Banging on who?
What we're doing right now is a perfect example of that. We're not.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
the
what
nonsense
I'm
that
saying.
they're saying.
The alternative. That's why I'm saying the alternative is don't listen to them. Listen to Manifestations. Don't listen to them. Listen to Tariq. Don't listen to them. Listen to Professor Truth. That's what I'm saying with the alternative.
Exactly.
Like don't grain on them. Give them brothers that are doing other things. Not only are they not, we might bang on them, but we're giving them substance in other areas where they can find value in other shit. Because if you give them the typical people that's out here talking the same gossip shit all day, it's more of an edge for them to go listen to these dummies. But if you're giving them platforms of substance, and even just by us going out there and saying what we have been saying for a couple of years, we have inspired people that haven't came out and told us, hey, I started this, or I started to help people in our community based on what y'all do. Tariq has been doing that for years. A lot of people pioneered off of what Tariq was doing. A lot of people are pioneered off of Jason Black and taking that leadership and doing their own thing. And they have created an atmosphere and a group of people, a following that are now being inspired to do the same trickle-down situations. It's creating an enclave within a society of having great other individuals and great minds to think alike. So it's like you're creating tribes of tribes within the community to help combat what we're doing. And that's all you can ask for, because remember, back in the 1920s, we have lost our what they call that, on-code behavior. So now we're getting it back, but it's not on a mass level like it was back in the early 20s. We're getting it in little enclaves. Like you have Anubis. Anubis has his peoples, and we had them on here. They're doing great work in the community. And then the sisters that are with them, the queens that are with them, they're doing great work in the community. So they're not on a big platform like what do you call it, Breakfast Club or any platform like that, but they're doing it loud enough that everybody around them is effective. Now they have a whole tribe that they're going and building in different cities. Now Manifestations is going, we're planning on going on tour and going around and doing this stuff to create more people. So when we have these little incubated outlets for people to really get their minds tightened up, all that other noise, as loud as it seems, it's really being diluted. And I'll land my plane on that. That's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, facts. I appreciate that. I want to just go over, and I hear you, and trust me, I hear you, but I want to make sure I talk about this comment that Anubis made. Anubis said, I would identify them as mentally ill, but in this society with social media, the mentally ill are the stars. We as a people these days seemingly love dysfunction. And then he goes on to give an example of look at Charles and Netta. So I hear you, and trust me, that's why I'm here with you, because I understand that we're part of the paradigm shift. You understand? I get it. But I wanted to pose that to you in question form just so that I could hear the real knee-jerk reaction that someone gives to it when they're asked that question, because that's not an easy question. That's a very multi-layered question. Correct. Because you're literally talking about how do we facilitate a paradigm shift. That's what we're really literally discussing, because we need it. We're in such dire need of it, bro. You understand what I'm saying? So like, we really gotta go hard. And people ask all the time. I got my friend David Moet. That's my guy from back in the days. And he like, man, why you always banging on people? And I said to him, why you ain't banging on people more? You understand what I'm saying? Because he's a man of God. You know what I'm saying? So I would think that he would be, and I say this respectfully, Dave is my guy. You know, from back in the days, I met David when I was 14 years old working at Publix. You understand what I'm saying? This is my guy. And I said to him, like, bruh, you should be more upset than me, being the Christian man that you are, being the very virtuous and honest man that you are. You always in the church, you know, whatever the case may be. Jesus whipped people in the temple. Why you think he did that? All right, come on now. Don't get me started. You know, the Bible, if we're going to use that as a reference, right? A lot of us do. We live in a Christian society. Moreover, often talks about how angry God has been at man. And I'm not supposed to be mad. I'm not supposed to bang on niggas. Y'all lucky I don't bang on niggas like I used to. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is a new type of banging. I'm intellectually banging now. Back in the days, it was a little more physical. You understand what I'm saying? But like, real talk, people got to get out here and get active. You got to get out here and confront fools like Kevin Gates, fools like Kanye West, fools like Tyrese, fools like, you can insert random Negro here. They all doing it, and it's intentional. And this is my thing. I can't empathize with a nigga who's doing some shit purposely that's harming the community just so he can be seen. That's insanity. You know, and I tend to err on the side of what Amun is saying, whereas he does see it as mental illness, but I think it's another type of mental illness, because when you always have to be seen, that's also a form of mental illness, is it not?
It absolutely is. And that's what I was, and see, I'm glad I let you talk, because you got to you fleshed out more what I was just gonna give like a little brief sampling of it. You kind of went in depth.
Go ahead.
For a lot of us, attention is currency, and nowadays it really has become currency. But even before this, you've had a lot of us that, and anybody that's done work in the community, as far as organizing, anybody. I know Anubis could definitely testify to this.
Yeah.
God forbid, don't let it be a public forum type, town hall type setting, whatever. When you got people coming together, talking real stuff, real solutions, laying out the issues as they are, brainstorming solutions, you can always count. It's more reliable than an atomic clock, more reliable than your direct deposit. You can always count on some nigga. You talk about, okay, so the solution is ABC. Our problem is XYZ. We need ABC in order to solve this. And people are like, yeah, it sounds good. What if we tried Elemental P? I like Elemental P, but people talking real stuff. And all of a sudden, and I'm gonna do it the way Jason Black would say, all of a sudden you got some nigga coming talking about, hey, look at me, look at me. I know you're talking about solutions, but look at me. I have this hat. I have this chain. I have this shirt. Look at me. Don't talk about solutions. Look at me. I want attention. Look at me. The unloved children of society love to pop up, and they see a group of people and they say, hey, that's an opportunity for attention. And they go try to take it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, now we have systems in place now that reward this nonsense, as Anubis pointed out, where it's monetized. They get paid for cutting a fool, make an ass themselves. And this has been one of my greatest lamentations. It used to be, for you to become famous, you had to have talent. You had to have skill. Even who back in those days would be considered the reprehensible or the shunned in society, your Marilyn Monroe's. I mean, let's face it, Marilyn Monroe, she basically was a glorified get around. She was a bust down.
Yeah.
You know, JFK, happy birthday, Mr. President, and all this nonsense. But even she had a talent. The girl could sing to an extent. She could carry a tune. She wasn't going to be no recording star, but the girl could sing. She was attractive. She was beautiful for that time. She was stylish and fashionable. She was also a model. She was able to carry herself in a way that commanded attention. So even though she was not uber talented, she had enough talent and looks to justify her fame. And to this day, her influence still influences women, rightly or wrongly, to this day. But she had talent.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can become a millionaire off social media, off YouTube and Snapchat and Facebook and everything.
Come on
simply
now.
based off of being a dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a whole entire idiot of yourself, and that's supposed to be enough to monetize you. But
Right.
that's by design.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important that people like us roll our sleeves up and get into the fray, because we need to become the tastemakers. We need to get in positions of power where we can balance the scales. These people are willing to sink money into people making assholes of themselves because it's an investment.
As a
they're investing that money because they want a certain return on the investment.
Mm-hmm.
What is the investment, you're asking? It's the dumbing down of society.
Mm-hmm.
We will elevate these idiots and make being an idiot the cool thing to do. Not just the cool thing to do, but it's the fast track to getting wealth and fame and notoriety. So we can ensure that for every 10 of these that we put up there, we can be sure that we're going to inspire 1,000 people to try and be just like them. And they may never make it, but we're going to teach them that, hey, being a dummy is how you get ahead in society, which means that all the policies, all the products we have, all the services meant to capitalize and exploit that, we'll have a steady pool of victims to just suck off of and just drain like that. Pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, really quickly before we jump on, because I know we want to move.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't know if we talked about it on here, but there was an attorney. I think we did mention it when we were talking about Travis Hunter. There was an attorney who was inspired by the whole Travis Hunter situation with him getting married without a prenup.
Yeah.
And launched out that he's going to basically, for pro bono, not charging, he's offering his services to any professional athlete.
I heard about him.
When you get in the league, I am willing to go ahead and sit down with you, and we're going to draft up a prenup for you. And it doesn't have to be filed. No one will know about it. Prenups are only made public notice or only publicized once the marriage has been made official and the people have signed off on the prenuptial deal. But we will have this here sitting in place. So when you're ready to go to the altar, it's already here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got tired of seeing people like Travis Hunter get finessed and taken advantage of.
Right.
The biggest problem is when these things happen, whether it's the exploitation of famous people for their money, whether it's these Kanye West and Kevin Gates, the biggest issue is that we do not have people in power to push back.
That's true.
We have predators in place ready to prey and take advantage of it, but we don't have any sheepdogs in place to say, nah, not on my watch. We don't have politicians that are willing to use the influence to change the laws that are skewed. We don't have attorneys that are willing to step into the fire and be advocates for men.
Yes.
We don't have people willing out there. We don't have judges willing to be in these positions where they're able to rule fairly and justly and make sure justice is being administered.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually asked Jason about that. I actually asked Jason Black about this on his page the other day when he was talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's interesting how we see this, but there's never anyone to push back. Why is that? Or we need to have more men in position of power to push back on this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something that was profound. I'm like, God dang.
Mm-hmm.
It makes all the sense in the world. He said the men that largely are in these positions are the unlucky men. The men that have never been in positions to take advantage of this. They've never been super attractive. They never had all the girls. They're the ones that had their backs to the grindstone, their noses in the books. They were the nerds that couldn't luck up. And once they finally got some power, they decided, I'm going to make you suffer for it.
Mm.
So
I've heard it make
these
that
policies and these principles are like, well, why is it that this is like this? We all see this is wrong. Why doesn't one do anything about it? It's because you have salty, bitter men that rather than look out for the collective, decide, you know what? I'm going to get my get back now.
No, that's real. I've heard him make that point before. And you said
you slept with Sarah Ann back when I was in high school, and you put me in the locker. Well, now who's got Sarah Vaughn? Yeah, now Sarah's gonna make you suffer. That's where we at.
That's real low. And you said Jason Black said something brilliant. When doesn't he? Jason Black is a monster, dog. Like we need that brother out here. And that's one of the reasons why I gravitate so heavily to Jason Black, because Jason Black confronts these assholes, bro. Like he's the call out king. You understand what I'm saying? Oof. And that's what we need. We need more people out here like that. That's why I am the way that I am. And I'm going to implore more of you. I'm going to holler at my good friend David from back in the days that I just referenced. I'm going to implore you to get out there and confront some of these people. I know you're a peaceful guy. See, because the issue is, and again, this is not an argument. This is a debate that I had with David. He's a good brother, very good friend. And, you know, he said, you know, well, damn, you know, I like it when you're positive. And that's the common misconception, that when we're calling out bullshit, that we're being negative somehow. No, that is positive. It don't get no more positive than calling out these people who are out here proudly wearing "I am a detriment to black society" on their goddamn sleeve.
Correction.
There's nothing
is
more positive
love.
than that. You understand
Correction
what I'm saying?
is love.
Correction is love.
James Baldwin said himself, if I love you, if I hate you, then forget it. It's whatever. You do what you do. But if I love you, I have to make you aware of these things.
That's it.
I'm obligated, because love is a verb. Love isn't a thing. It's a verb. It's an action.
Yeah, it is.
So if I love you, if I'm concerned for your well-being, I'm going to say something, because the art of war says, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
Yes.
If you messing up, if you dropping the ball as my enemy, I want you to do that. Yes, I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you. I'm gonna give you the velvet glove treatment. I'm gonna grease and ice and everything in the walkway. I want to do any and everything possible to ensure that you are gonna screw up.
But if you my people,
but it's the exact opposite.
Exact opposite.
I will tackle you out the way if need be, out of harm's way. I will use my own body as a shield. If I have to protect and safeguard you, because I love you that much. So we have to get out of our minds. We have to divorce ourselves of this immature mindset and mentality that when people are correcting other people, it's a bad thing. You're being negative. No. Here's the question. You have a child. Your child is messing up and doing the wrong thing. You correct your child. Do you hate your child? No, you love your child. And you correct your child because you love your child. So why is it that when you see correction elsewhere, you think negative? Well, there's a bipolar mindset in that.
They're gonna say, I'm gonna answer it, and then I'm gonna move on to the crown check, because we'll go on this all night. But they'll say that it's not the same because these are adults and they have free will. And I know that. I understand that. And I tell people this all the time, because people are always, every day, there's some other goofy motherfucker in my comments trying to be the opinion police when I speak on what I speak on. You understand what I'm saying? Like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Oh, don't say that. Don't. But somebody actually told me, and somebody that we respect the other day told me, oh, you know, you shouldn't talk about Tyler Perry like this, and you know, because he does this and he does that. No, that's not where we are. You can't tell someone how to feel. You can't tell someone what they should and should not be criticizing. It's my opinion for a reason. And I respect that, sister. I have no issue with her, but that's wrong. You understand what I'm saying? No, we are calling these people out for a reason, and it's because things that they are doing are very much to the detriment of black society. I can prove it. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't give a fuck how many jobs somebody gives somebody. You understand what I'm saying? I pointed out that Diddy's giving people jobs too. You understand? Okay, so we want to play that game. You know how many black folks that created jobs? Take that. You know how many black folks that created jobs for other black people to do fucked up things to them in the process? No, we got to draw a line. There has to be a code of conduct. And motherfuckers is not in line with it, need to get smacked the fuck up. And that is positive.
Let me say this before we jump on.
Yes.
One of the biggest bandwagon campaigns probably of the past century, I think it's safe to say, has been the whole notion of hashtag Black excellence. Celebrating Black excellence, Black people excelling, doing well in the craft. But here's the thing. Black excellence is not a state. It's not a place that you get to. It is a constant strive and struggle towards the concept. Excellence isn't, okay, I did this and I just sit on my laurels. Okay, excellence, I arrived. No. Once you've attained excellence, excellence demands, if you were truly about excellence, excellence dictates that you keep on going. Yeah. One of my favorite campaigns, marketing campaigns, was the partnership that Hennessy had with Nas. And I actually saved. I saw it in a GQ magazine. I saved the picture, and I have that in my little digital files. Every now and then I look at it for inspiration. It's a picture of Nas. The picture itself was originally taken in Times Square. There's a big old billboard, lighted billboard with Nas on it and Hennessy, where he says, "The further I go, the further I want to go." That's what excellence does. Excellence is never satisfied. Excellence gets there. It hits the mountain peak, but it's saying there's another mountain bigger than this one to climb. Let me get to work on that one.
There it is.
You cannot get to a point if Tyler Perry's out here giving black people jobs. Excellent. Good on him.
Right.
Putting some dollars in black people's pocket. That's what's up. That does not mean now that he can just sit back, or that rather we should just sit back and say, well, you did this, you don't have to do anything else. Or because you do this, we overlook all the other negative stuff. No. You hit the first mountain peak. You're putting money in people's pockets. Cool.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about how you can improve the content that you're putting out.
And
now let's talk about how you can give better roles to people. Now let's talk about how you treat people. It's not enough to just sit here and set up shop and never move anywhere else. If we're really talking about black excellence and celebrating black excellence, then that means we should be looking for what we can nitpick and criticize Tyler and anybody else about. Not because we're hating or because we don't like what we're saying, but because we want them to be the best possible.
Period.
We are not. Manifestations 2020. Let's shoot.
We're not perfect. Yeah.
If it's Russian roulette, let's spin the dial and we'll take the first pull. We're not above criticism.
All the time.
And we down for it. The good, bad, and whatever. It's all fair game. It's all bricks that can be used to build us and take us higher and higher and higher. That's how we get better. That is black excellence.
Well said. So let's go ahead and wrap up today. Great segment. Go ahead, and you got more?
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick. Tyler Perry, just to real sum it all up, Tyler Perry is really the black version of the plantation master. So when they talk about black people sold slaves,
I agree.
That's Tyler Perry. Because at the end of the day, whether you think it's good or bad for the notion of black people selling slaves, whether you think it's good or bad, it's still bad. You're still selling slaves. But the narrative was the black owners treated their slaves better than the white owners, right?
Well, that's case. One narrative.
It could exactly. It could be the case, right? Because what Tyler Perry is doing and why people aren't banging on Tyler Perry in that way is because he's overpaying the actors when I say overpaying, meaning that he's giving them more money than the white platform and the white Hollywood would give them. So when they go over there and they're getting more money for the roles they've been doing under the white side and not getting paid that much, now he's added a protection and he's doing it with women. So he's playing a chess move. You got your pawns as women, you're paying them extra. So now they feel good about themselves because they look at you as a black savior that's helping your black people. But in other words, all you're doing is reinforcing white supremacy because you're portraying all the negative tropes about black people through your films.
All of that is true. I push back just a little. I think that Tyler Perry gets a pass because they deified Tyler Perry. They worship Tyler Perry like they worship a lot of these other celebrities. I don't think it's even that complicated. Yeah, he's also taking advantage of the stupid, naive people and gullible people out there too, but they have deified Tyler Perry to the point where if you come for Tyler Perry, you come for God. And that's the bullshit that I'm not with.
It's because it's a trauma bonding. So he makes trauma porn. Let's just say what it is. He makes trauma porn. And a lot of this because he works out. And the thing is, I speculated about this a long time ago. I think anybody that has seen enough of his things can see it. But I speculated that he works out his demons, or at least lets them roam free when he makes his films. And I actually stumbled on something the other day that I wasn't aware of. He did an interview, I don't know how long ago, but he did an interview with Oprah talking about his life and everything. And he actually shared information that he was, in fact, sexually abused as a child.
Oh, yeah.
By 4 men. He was sexually abused by a neighbor, a relative, a member of his family's church at that time.
Yeah.
And somebody else. He also mentioned that he was physically and mentally abused by his father, and he was also sexually abused by the mother of a friend of his.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a man who has unresolved issues. You can see the disdain he has for black men and how he portrays them in his films.
Right.
But you can also see that bitterness towards women as well, too, in there with the way how he keeps them locked into certain roles.
Yeah.
He pays Taraji very handsomely, but damn it, she's basically a slave to playing that same character over and over again.
Correct. And that's a great way of putting
a dysfunctional character, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
Great way of putting it.
Yeah, we gotta do a whole stream just on that nigga and the bullshit that he puts out here. I really detest Tyler Perry because I hate when black people see someone as so positive when they're so negative. But that's a whole other show. Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to something that is very positive, which is the world famous crown check. You know what I'm saying? And for this crown check tonight, man, you anybody who knows me, you already know. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go put it out there. I gotta go represent one good time for our sister Ananda Lewis. Oh man, who transitioned this week. R.I.P. to our good sister Ananda Lewis. Of course, an American journalist, one of the best. I mean, if you've ever seen her work, you already know. Human rights activist, two-time NAACP Image Award recipient, Howard University alumni, professional carpenter. I didn't know that she was a professional carpenter. I did not know that. You know, that's something I learned when I was researching. I did not know that. But she's also known for having esteemed interviews with the likes of Hillary Clinton, Kobe Bryant, and Louis Farrakhan. Also, she was the host of BET's Teen Summit. She was in the show True Life with MTV. Oh, my goodness. The accolades go on and on. She had a nationally syndicated show, The Ananda Lewis Show. I mean, this sister was active out here in these journalistic streets. And she was above and beyond all of that. I didn't even realize that her real full name was Sarasvati Ananda Lewis, but okay, so be it. You know what I'm saying? But what I want to emphasize about this sister, very much like Raven Simone. Not Raven Simone, what am I talking about? Very much like Kyla Pratt. Good Lord.
Well, about
no, what did I just do there?
Don't do it.
Very much like, I get my child actresses mixed up. Very much like Kyla Pratt. This sister carries herself in the most regal, royal way possible. Oh my God. Like she was the epitome of class, bruh. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I always appreciated about Ananda Lewis more than anything else. She was the epitome of class. You never saw her out here following the crowd, you know, getting BBLs and twerking on the back of somebody's car and all this old shit. She just didn't move like that, man. She was very peaceful, very respectful. And every time you saw her, you just thought royal. You look at her, you think queen. She was the quintessential embodiment of womanhood in my view. She's like the younger Claire Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? On that type of joint. You know, so shout out to our good sister, Ananda Lewis with the crown check. Real quick, go ahead and say your piece and then take us home. What's up?
Yeah, man. Ananda Lewis was my Dorothy Dandruff growing up. She exuded, when I talk about pure, I fantasized about her like real hard. Like I was really in love with Ananda because her aura, her everything, her skin tone, her beauty, she just was a different breed of women. And we had beautiful women growing up back then, but she just stood out, man. The way she spoke, you know, her intellect, you know, her kindness, everything about her was just angel sent to me. So she was one of those top women that I wanted to grow up and marry her specifically.
Yeah.
And she was really my childhood crush for a very long time. It was sad news to hear her pass away. But I really wish a lot of women would exude the type of qualities and characteristics that she was.
Yeah.
I didn't know she did carpentry. That is something dope. But now that you pointed that out, it stands to reason because she is part of our foundation. She has been a staple point in our community. She has been solid with structures. She's been helping and repairing our community in many various ways. So it all lined up perfectly about the route she took. And man, salute to her, man. And she really changed a lot of people, and she deserves her legacy. And I hope her legacy continues on. And I'll land my plane on that.
Yes, most definitely. Bobby, real quick, take us home, man. Get it. Let's go.
I was floored when I got that news, man. I really was. And the thing is, I hadn't seen her name in quite some time. I mean, every now and then there's certain celebrities that people are like, dang, I haven't seen or heard anything about so-and-so. I hope they're all right.
Right.
So when that popped up, that really hurt my heart. To see she was young, man, 52, bro. But she'd been battling cancer, which I did not know. And she fought the fight until she couldn't fight anymore, and it was tragic. But she definitely had a style and a spirit that really transcended. There are some people, and again, it's Holly weird, so all that is relative.
Yeah.
But there's still certain people who are still genuine. Everyone in Holly weird isn't torn from the floor. There are still some solid people that are there in the industry. And there was something about her that was just so transparent, so genuine, so unfiltered and unvarnished.
Yeah.
Where I'm pretty sure that she might have been arguably the most down-to-earth person at that time in that industry. And she's done so much. She was journalist, MTV VJ. She even went ahead and had her own talk show, which I did like when I was younger. And I like that also point out that she made an attempt to actually have a serious show. So she wasn't with the foolishness. She's down to earth. She's fun. She's relatable, but she wasn't ratchet. She wasn't with the foolishness. She's looking to be serious when everyone else is being silly. Very much on code.
Yes.
So, those kind of people are few and far between. So it hurts when people like that leave us. Because the question is always, well, who's going to stand and fill in the gap to those individuals?
Right.
But big shout out to her and her family, her husband, her children. I know it's not easy to lose someone like that. The good thing is when it comes to dealing with disease like that, when someone does pass, you can feel some level of relief that they're not in pain or suffering anymore. So I hope that that's some measure of a comfort to her family and for the people that loved her deeply. But overall, great show. Wonderful episode. I think very appropriate, not just for the month, but also for the day as well, for Father's Day.
Yes.
I hope that what we shared tonight, what we talked about, has really resonated with a lot of the brothers and the sisters who listened as well. And more than anything, I hope it made a difference, made an impact in the lives of the brothers listening to this, man. And again, community is everything. There is strength in the pack. One of the reasons why I love wolves so much, wolves are my favorite animal, always have been. And as I've learned more about them over the years, that's just only deepened as far as my like and respect for them. One of the things I love about wolves is the fact that for them, they're true social creatures where it's not just that they're social for their personalities, but society for them, their culture is all the strength comes from their togetherness. One wolf is a problem. But a pack of wolves, forget about it. They take down prey far larger than them. They're able to fend off bigger predators.
Right.
When you have a pack of wolves, it doesn't matter where they are in the world. That's the apex right there. Lion, forget about it. Tiger, elephants, doesn't matter. The pack of wolves has the intelligence and the numbers and the community to get the job done no matter what.
How about that?
And I need my men to also embody that as well too. Brothers, yes, you're strong. You carry a lot on your back. You deal with so much every single day. You have silent struggles that you don't tell the world about. But for a lot of us, it's killing us. It's crushing us. We're not able to truly appreciate and enjoy life the way we're supposed to. For us, waking up is a burden and an obligation. I need us to do a better job. And hell, I'm speaking to myself more than anybody else. So Anybody else want to tune out, they're free to do so. This is for me right now. Do a better job of reaching out to your village, establishing a village. Lean on your brothers. Make sure that you're sharing, that you're using them to empower yourself, and you're paying for it, empowering them as well too. And lean on each other so the burdens are lighter, so you can breathe. So damn it, you can remember there's actually a sky up there. There's a sun, there's a moon, and stars. There's something above us, and not this giant weight over our heads, man. Make sure you take care of your mental health. If you didn't today, make sure this month, treat yourself. Take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Put your feet up for 5 minutes. The world is not going to collapse, I promise you. Everything that you put down will be right back there when you get to it. But take your shoes off for a little bit and just relax and unwind and recharge your batteries, man.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for yourself. Do it for the people who you love, who are depending on you. All right?
Yeah.
Want to give a big shout out, as always, to all our fam that's rocking with us, our Facebook fam, our IG fam, YouTube crew. We appreciate you all. The people that was rocking with us in the chat. Thank you for tuning in once again for another week. We'll catch you guys back here next time. Same.
Hold on, Bobby J. Hold on. I got my Kanye moment. I want to say the best IG out there right now is Affirmations for Black Men. Y'all got to follow her. She's doing fabulous things out there. I think she deserves an award. You know, we talk about people getting platforms and busting on people, but we don't talk about the people that's out there doing things and giving alternatives.
Yeah.
All right. I had to have my Kanye moment.
Much needed. Also, speaking of, don't forget us too. Make sure you hit the like button. What you doing? What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with your fingers? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. And select all the notifications so you can get current with us at all times. Also, real quick, want to give a shout out to my boy, one of my training partners, Dylan, aka Dilly. He was blessed this past week with the ability to officially celebrate Father's Day. He's a first-time father of a beautiful baby girl.
That's
healthy
what's up.
delivery, mama good, baby good, he good. Big ups, brother. Make sure you raise her properly, and as soon as she can take her first couple steps, make sure you can put her on the mat so she can get that jits work going. He's Anthony Malcolm. He's Major Gage. I am Bobby Drake. Manifestations 2020. Same time, same place next week. We'll catch you.
All right. Hey, and I just want to put this out there, man. For y'all out there that's, that are very positive people, you're going to have to confront these people out here one way or another. Step up to the plate.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious past, if that people knew that glorious past, if that people knew the glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is Manifestations 2020.